Welcome to Life and Lures. We're going to get you out on the water. We're going to get you there soon. You're a beginning bass fisherman. Maybe you've never been bass fishing ever, or you've played around a little bit and you don't know what you're doing, or you need some advice. Here's the first. Step one, ignore all the blogs you're reading and all the other YouTube channels. They're leading you down a complicated and confusing path. They're giving great information, but not for someone at your stage. It's easy to forget about folks like you. We've all been there, but it's been a while for some people, and they're talking about you need these 3 rod and reel setups, you need these lures, you need this type of blah, blah, blah. They're forgetting what it's like to have a slim wallet and just trying to get into a hobby and a sport to see, do you have the patience, passion, and persistence to follow through? We're going to dive right in. We'll tell you exactly what to do. There will be no choices that you need to make. Here's the first thing, the kind of reel. There's bait caster and spinning. There are other types. We're going to focus on the 2 main ones. This is a bait caster. It's open on the top, thumb button. You see people on TV using this. You see them in your sporting goods stores. There will be people who try to sell this to you. Don't fall for it. I love them, and eventually you might love them too. But we know who we're talking about. It's you, and you're new. This is going to cause you way more headaches. Someday you'll want one of these, perhaps. It's like I say, my personal preference. But they have a learning curve, and we don't want you to be frustrated. So don't get talked into it. This is where you're going to live, a spinning reel. Now, this is the most common one that you see. It's most common because it's really the easiest one to start with. And this is where you need to go. We'll give you a link below. This is an Ugly Stik GX2, highly recommended by me and many, many others. I have a different reel on here, but we'll talk through those. This is a medium rod. It doesn't take too much to bend. It's not too forgiving. It really is the perfect rod. It's got the right amount of power. It's medium. We'll talk through power and action and all of that jargon at some point. But right now, we're just going to tell you how to get out on the water. Ugly Stik GX2 is where it's at. So let's talk through the actual spinning reel and what it is. Let's take one apart and show you. Now, spinning reel. This one is doesn't have any line on it right now, and that's why we're showing it to you. First thing you're going to need to decide when you go to the store, you order, they're going to say left-handed or right-handed. Now, this is not about the dominance of your normal left-handedness, right-handedness. I'm a left-handed person. I write with my left hand. I golf right-handed. I do things in different ways, but mostly I'm left-handed. But handedness and handedness in a reel when you're fishing are 2 different things. They may be related, maybe not. Depends on your comfort and preference. So handedness when you're picking a fishing reel is which hand are you going to do the reeling with. Some people think handedness is about casting. It's not. Handedness is about reeling. So remember, the spinning reel is under the rod. Under, never over. It's under. And how do you want to reel? I reel with my right hand. I cast with my left hand. Since I'm reeling with my right hand, I'm going to buy a right-handed spinning reel. Don't get confused there. It's how you want to reel. So which one feels most comfortable to you? Set something down, a spoon, somebody else's fishing rod, pick it up, cast. Use that arm motion. Which feels most comfortable to you? It's most common, in my experience, for people to cast with one hand, reel with the other one. There are some people who cast and reel with the same hand. They will cast with their left hand, move the rod over, and reel with their left hand. If that's most comfortable for you, go for it. But when you pick out a reel, pick which hand do you want to reel with. Now, most spinning rods, not all, I've seen some that don't, but most let you have a choice in a single reel. So this is one of those that let you have a choice. There is a nut of sorts that I'm going to unscrew and pull out, and then the handle comes off of the reel, I can then move it to this side and turn that right-handed reel into a left-handed reel. But I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put it back. I want to reel with my right, so I'm just going to slide it in there and tighten this back down. I do take off my handle sometimes if I'm traveling and I want it to fold down and I need to take up less space. So I'm going to tighten that down. Feel how smooth a reel is. You want it to be smooth. You don't want it to feel crunchy or sticky. Now, let's just take it apart and show you some details. This is called the bail. Now, in another episode, we'll talk about line, how to get your line attached to this, this reel here. This is a bail. You're going to need this when you're casting. And don't be afraid to take a reel apart. This one, and many of them are like this, have a unit that turns here at the top. This is your drag. We'll talk through what that means in a later episode as well. Here's the summary. If you tighten this right down, it's lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, just like you would expect, it's hard to pull line off of this reel. If you loosen it right up without reeling, unreeling anything, you're able to pull some line out. And once we get into actually reeling in a fish and setting this drag, we'll talk about the perfect setting for you. But if you undo this drag all the way, you can pull the reel right off. So this is where you can oil, maintenance, clean. We'll talk through all of this. But don't be afraid to, when you get your Ugly Stik GX2 or whatever you pick, to be able to take that apart and put it back together. There's no line on this yet. We'll talk about line in a future episode. Now, don't spend more than $100 on a good rod reel setup for you as a beginner. That Ugly Stik GX2 that we'll put a link to below, in 6 to 7 feet is usually good, a good balance between ability to cast quite a way and still be transportable. I recommend, if you're new to this, a 2-piece rod, and we'll have a link to that too. This rod is 1 piece. It does not come apart. When I transport it, I have to have a place to put, this is a 7-foot rod. I need 7 foot of space, diagonally somewhere to put it. 2-piece is common. There'll be a spot in the middle where you can take it apart. We'll talk about how to take it apart and put it back together to make sure you're fishing successfully. More than 2 pieces, in my opinion, the rods just fall apart too often when you're casting. There are times and places for those. I have a 3-piece rod. I like it for certain things. If I'm traveling, it folds up well. But a 2-piece rod of Ugly Stik GX2 will serve you well. Rod and reel selection for a bass fisherman, there we go. Link below. In just a few minutes or less, that's what you need to buy. We'll come back. We'll talk about line, how to get line on your spool. We'll talk about a few lures, when they're best, what to use first, what to use second. Remember, don't fall for the trap of spending a bunch of money. If you're going to not skimp on something, though, it's rod and reel. Spend $60, $70, $80 for a unit like the one below. You won't be sorry, and it'll help you with that patience, passion, and persistence and keep you out on the water. Thanks for watching Life in Lures. Yeah!